I'll try to quickly summarize some main pre-specification issues that you might come across when addressing outcomes of adverse effects. And well, I'm supported by the University of Alberta. I've been a co-author of the chapter 19th, Adverse Effects of the Handbook, and I'm a co-convener of the Cochrane Adverse Effects Methods groups. So when thinking about the outcomes of harms of your systematic review, I think the first thing you should want to consider is whether you want to undertake a hypothesis testing approach or a hypothesis generation approach. Meaning that if you have some pre-specified, maybe a clinical relevant adverse effect that you really want to focus on, you may want to undertake an hypothesis testing approach and focus on those specific events. Or another approach would be to explore the comprehensive profile of the adverse effects that may be observed and reported on the included studies in your review, which we call the hypothesis generation approach. But also, you should want to consider whether a mixed approach could be interesting to answer the question of adverse effects of your review. And this is a very common approach we can come across. And it's really a mixed bag and can help you answering clinical relevant questions regarding harms, but also explore signals about other events that may be occurring in the primary studies. Then another thing you want to consider is whether you want to focus your exploration on the adverse effects that might be induced by one treatment when this treatment is applied to only one condition, and these may potentially be undertaken together with the same set and the same planning that you have for the efficacy outcome of your review. But sometimes the same intervention can be applied to the treatment of a variety of conditions. And if you consider this broader approach, you may improve the detection of the adverse effects induced by one intervention. However, of course, this latter approach can increase the complexity of your project highly, and maybe you maybe consider separate project and planning and methods for that. Then all those previous considerations will lead you to think about whether you want to include only RCTs in your review and in your exploration of adverse events, or whether you might consider the inclusion of non-randomized or observational studies as well. Of course, working with RCTs and observational studies, you increase the complexity of your project, and you might want to consider even the feasibility and the research to undertake such a project. Though this kind of more comprehensive project, you improve the detection of the adverse effects, since considering only RCTs may be limited in the detection of adverse events. And finally, I want to quickly touch on how we want to consider lots of room when planning our data extraction to collect very detailed information about the individual events. Regardless whether you may be planning to pursue some grouping of the adverse effects in broader categories, for example, lumping events in organ system categories. This kind of approach can induce bias in the results of your review. So as much as detailed information you have when collecting the data, better way to analyze the data and a more transparent report you may be able to present in your final review. Yeah, that was I was planning to quickly touch base today about price specification issues with regard to undiversified. I would like to finalize just acknowledging my colleagues who contributed to this process of thinking on diverse facts in for the handbook chapter, which are all the conveners of the adverse effects method groups. Thank you.